Everybody, we are here on Necessary Pursuit. We are in season 4. My name is Shane McCabe, and I am your host. And I have a guest today that I start a lot of my episodes by saying I don't know a whole hell of a lot of this person. And I truthfully don't know a whole hell of a lot about Jennifer Kenwell, except for the fact that she is a breath of fresh air, a ball of joy. I met you, Jennifer, God, almost 2 years ago. I think we were working the same event in Austin, Texas, and I walked into our little trailer and I just remember seeing you and being like, God, this girl's like a ball of joy. Like she's a breath of fresh air in this crazy world that I work in of hospitality. And fast forward now almost 2 years, we no longer work together, but we've remained good friends. We've seen each other casually here and there. We chit chat through text and phone call. But I thought, you know what? She has a great story to tell, her pursuit in her career. I've heard bits and pieces about your hospitality career, but now ultimately you have this like incredible job that you've created for yourself and an incredible little journey that you're on in South Carolina and beyond. So, Jennifer, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Shane. It's so good to be here. Thank you.
I know. I feel like we talk all the time, but like seeing your face now and talking officially is super fun for me, and I'm happy that we're able to connect and do this. But
Me too.
so I'm being truthful when I say I don't know a lot about you in your personal world. I know your professional world. I know where you live. We've had dinner in your town, maybe it was just about a year ago when I
So,
was in South Carolina. We went for dinner. Where are you from? Where does Jennifer Kenwell hail from? What's your story?
well, as much as I love the South, I can't own the South as my birth home. I am from New York City, so I
Okay.
grew up about about 10 minutes outside of Manhattan in a town called Forest Hills, which is famous because they used to play the Tennis US Open there for many, many years before it moved to Flushing Meadows. So I was a subway ride away from Midtown Manhattan and all the best restaurants and museums. And it was a great place to grow up. I've always said everyone should live in New York for a part of their lives, whether it's out of college, before college, adults. Give it a year or two, and it is the capital to me of the world, and just so much to do and learn. So, very lucky to have lived there and grown up
I
there.
used to live in northeastern Pennsylvania, and I could not agree more. I've never lived in Manhattan. I've never lived in a city like that, but it was an hour and change away from me, and we would go all the time. We would take a bus ride. We would park in New Jersey and take the ferry over. We would take a car into the city. We had a certain place we would park. Port Authority, you take that bus ride in, you get off, you come upstairs, you're like, holy shit, look at this place, you know? And I remember
Where
doing it
am
as a
I? What's
kid.
going on? Yeah,
Yeah,
the
like this
energy.
isn't
There's an
my,
energy.
there's such an energy and the
Hmm.
wind's blowing through the buildings. It's such a experience for someone to have. And if you can live there and experience it, I'm sure it's times the thousand of that. Um, what did you do? We met in the hospitality world. How did you ultimately get to that, I guess, phase of
Well,
your
it's
life?
funny, talking about Forest Hills and tennis. Tennis was such a big part of where I grew up, and my first job was scooping Haagen-Dazs ice cream at the tennis stadium in Forest Hills, and I thought, my gosh, this is the craziest thing ever, working this many hours and scooping ice
Yeah,
cream until 11 p.m. on a Wednesday night in August. But it definitely, again, saying the word energy, there was something about it that I was so drawn to. And it was interesting that out of college, I wound up right back in tennis. So I sold ticket sales or hospitality packages for the USTA, which is the Tennis Association, based out of Flushing Meadow Park. So that was kind of my first dip into corporate hospitality and working with clients like Amex or Cadillac and selling them these US Open tennis packages in their food programming. So I was kind of hooked immediately into that world and just loved it.
do you feel like it came natural to you, like just to talk to people and
Yeah, I think so. I kid my nephew because he's an accountant, and I said, like, someone in hospitality, I could never be an accountant. I don't think
right?
he could ever work front of house. I knew very, very early that I wanted to be in the front of the house and I wanted to have that client relationship. And that took many different forms over the last 25 years, but it's
Hmm.
always been client facing, and that's always been my passion is delivering to clients, whether it's through sales or through service. I've always been in the event side of hospitality.
You told me a story probably about a year ago about your bartending experience. Tell me this story so people
Well,
can hear what your ultimate bartending experience has been.
I just right time, right place, which I think is
A lot of
holds
things.
true today. A lot of things, so many things. Who you know, right time, right place.
Hmm.
Back at the USTA, US Open in Flushing, and I was working with then the company I think was called Restaurant Associates, and I was going to be I think like a waitress in one of the restaurants. And a gentleman came over and he said, "I'm looking for some volunteers. Anyone want to volunteer?" I raised my hand, and he's like, "Okay, we're opening up a new bar in the middle of everything called Heineken, the Red Star, Heineken Red Star. Do you know how to bartend?" I'm like, "Yeah, I could bartend." So I show up and it's six New York City police officers and two New York City firemen behind the bar who are like worn, weathered bartenders, juggling the bottles like it's cocktail.
Yeah.
Their wells are all perfectly lined up. And I'm like, how do you make this again? And they're like, okay, we've got you. Sure enough, it was 3 weeks. I think it was like 14 to 16 hours a day. But at the end of that time, I walked away with like $10,000 cash.
Oh
I was like,
my God.
how does this happen? And I need to be, I mean, it wasn't just the money, it was just meeting so many interesting people. Like the president of CBS Sports was there, the broadcasters there, the player
Hmm.
families were there. It was just such an electric New York experience. At that time, tennis was trying to mimic some of the events of the NFL. So it was like
Okay.
fireworks every night. It was
Yeah.
just amazing. And I said,
Spectacle.
okay, yeah, it was a spectacle. It's like, this is it. I'm sold on hospitality.
So aside from, okay, your illustrious career as a bartender and your selling
One
of tickets
summer.
to one summer of bartending and then getting into ticket sales, right? That's what you said you did. How did you move from that platform to, I guess, ultimately when we met, you were selling hospitality in terms of food and beverage and venues.
Hmm.
So where did that, I guess, platform trajectory happen? When, because
It's
you,
so
I know also
funny.
you've kind of lived in a lot of different areas too and
Yes,
moved
yes.
around.
You met, that's the front end, and then the tail end as I wound up back in sports. But all the years in between, my mother says I'm a late bloomer, but after 9/11, I think it was just time to kind of maybe relocate outside of New York. And there were a few resorts that I had been following or were interested in, and one of them had an opening as an entry level. They used to call them catering conference service managers. So you worked at a hotel, and anytime a corporate group was coming to the hotel, whether it was for an incentive trip or recognition or awards trip, you were assigned to a manager and they guided you through the process of hotel rooms, food and beverage, activities. So I applied for this job in this teeny tiny town in North Carolina called Pinehurst, North Carolina, which is about 90 minutes outside of Raleigh, Durham, about 90 minutes from a Target. We're talking nothing, in the middle of nowhere. I flew down and I wound up getting the job. And everyone was like, how are you going to go from New York City
This is from New
to this
York. Yeah.
teeny tiny town in the middle of nowhere, North? I mean, like literally driving through like pig farms and chicken farms to
Yeah.
get to this
Yeah.
town. And there was just something in me that had such a calling to both the position within the resort and then finding a new place to call home.
Yeah.
So it was a really big risk. I wound up taking a 65% pay cut to go live in Pinehurst, North Carolina. But there was something about getting into the hotel hospitality industry that I believed in.
Hmm.
And sure enough, within 2 years, I had been promoted. And then I'm sure it's the same way, but in the hotel side, it's very normal to move around to
Yeah.
increase your position or your standing within a resort. So 2 years after Pinehurst, I wound up getting a promotion and took another job at another resort and another. So I've moved about 4 times in 6 years, but each one was director, associate director, VP. So
So
the
you're moving
resort
around a
life
lot.
was definitely for me, and they were, I was lucky enough to work at 3 5-star resorts. So that kind of, to me, was my finishing school of hospitality,
Sure.
understanding Forbes 5-star formalities and what's
Yeah.
necessary to deliver at that level. And that was like finishing school for me. So I worked at about 4 different resorts.
But that's a great experience, and I literally just had this conversation with someone yesterday or the day before about college and how I am not a person that like, okay, open the syllabus and go to page 2 and read this chapter as your homework. Like I'm a learn on the go, learn on
Hmm.
the job kind of person. I'm a visual person. I'm not a reader. I can't take notes and then study them and then learn how to do my job from those notes. You have to physically show me how to do something or walk me through it. And the only professors to this moment that I can name by name and talk about what they talked about were the people that came to my college, my university, and had a job prior. So they were the boss at the local newspaper, or they were the local owner of a restaurant, but then they taught the hospitality course at night as an adjunct professor. Those people were the people I learned from. So it makes complete sense in you saying that you learned kind of on the job and had your finishing school over the course of a 6 year span, moving around different hotels and properties. And I know exactly what you're saying when it comes to like those standards. When I worked previous to where I'm working now, we had incredible trainings with Forbes travel guide and like all these Michelin star, all these different things, AAA diamonds and all those things. You don't learn that in college. They don't even
No,
talk about that in college. You
no.
could pay all the money in the world, even in, I mean, I'm sure you would learn it if you went to some type of hospitality training school where you're getting into like a hospitality travel type business, or people that go to like even like bartender schools and stuff like that. I'm sure you learn like the little nuances of things that happen inside of a business. But until you're actually in the courses learning it and training with a Forbes trainer and learning it and training with a
Hmm.
Michelin star
Hmm.
trainer, you
Hmm.
don't know any of the lingo. You don't, it's something you're just not going to pick up on unless you're practicing it.
True. I
You,
remember, the dreaded SOP. What's the SOP? What's this?
uh-huh,
And we
uh-huh.
would laugh, like we almost wanted to create like a drinking game. Like anytime someone said SOP, you had to take a shot of something.
Hmm.
But that laid the foundation.
Yeah,
When you're working in that kind of a structure where the bumper rails are very evident, you know how how to gauge both the guest experience and your staff's experience. You can see the impact that it's making on the overall success of the
yeah.
resort. And I there's still things now as a business owner that I give all the credit to those 6 years within the hotel industry. It was phenomenal.
Well, you learn
Phenomenal.
your best practices, right? And
Yes,
that's the other
for
thing you
sure.
learned, like best practice initiatives. And we used to have
Hmm.
those trainings, they would come in with like a best practice initiative checklist.
Yeah.
And we would have to like do like a mock best practice service standards course with our team and be like, oh my God, like we haven't done that at all, And then it kind of
Hmm.
opens your eyes to like what it should be, how it should be done. And maybe it is something that's like a nuance and not everybody wants to follow that rule. But at the end of the day, when you really think about it, it makes or breaks the business. It's what the bottom line looks like at the end of the week. You as a business owner now know what the bottom line looks like when the money's not coming in or the money is coming in. You know where that money's going, and every check that goes out, every bill that gets paid is coming out of your checking account. It's a lot different than when you work for a big company. You're like, oh, they could afford it. Your team always would say that. You would hear your team and your people that work with you say that. Oh, they're a big company. They could afford a quarter raise or they could afford to
Hmm.
screw something up. But at the end of the day, it's all about profit and loss. It's all about business.
It is,
Working in
for sure.
working in hospitality, you and I got along great because we're both kind of like the same talkative people. You had left the company that we were with about a year ago, and you dove into this project of something that I've heard of, but I have no clue how to play. Similar to a lot of things where I just say that I'm kind of interested in it, but I didn't really I can't really dive into it because I have really no reason to. I don't know anybody that plays Mahjong, but you would talk about how you're like, yeah, I'm doing this thing with Mahjong where like I'm selling tiles and I'm training and I'm teaching and I'm having seminars and I'm doing courses and all these things. Then you would tell me you're very entrepreneurial. You would tell me you were doing like these little pop-up markets where you were selling different types of things at these markets to make extra income just as a hobby. And you were telling me you were doing this plus the Mahjong. And then ultimately now, fast forward a year later, you're booked and busy. You're doing all these things. So tell me about it. What has this last year been like for you?
Well, there's
Professionally,
parts of
personally,
me
I mean,
that,
you have a lot going
yeah,
on.
no, yeah, there's sometimes I'm like, oh gosh, I should have done this so much earlier. But I will say, I think that everything happens exactly when it's supposed to happen. When I left the hotel industry, I went to work back in sports, but this in golf, and I worked for the PGA of America, and I was their corporate event planner. So I'm still in hospitality, but on another side. So instead of being the
Uh-huh.
hotel, I was now the client that went to the hotel and said, this is what we need from F&B program activities, et cetera. So when they moved to Texas, I was not interested in moving to Texas. So I was living in Florida and said I can kind of go anywhere. So I came back to South Carolina, which has always been my dream location between the community and friends and family. But I started working with a company that they're called destination management companies, or DMCs. And they
Hmm.
work alongside with resorts so that when these corporate events come in or corporations come in, the hotel does all the rooms and food and beverage, but then these DMCs do black car transportation from the airports. They do
Okay.
speakers, they do entertainment, they do decor, they do activities, etc. So I was working for them, consulting with them for about a year and a half. And clients would fly in, the corporate planners would fly in from New York or Miami or LA, and we'd tour the resort, particularly one down here, Montage Palmetto Bluff, which is another 5-star resort. And we'd walk through all the things that they could do when they weren't in a conference.
Hmm.
And the gentlemen could go fishing, they could go to the shooting school, they could play a $600 round of golf. And then the planner would ultimately turn to me and say, okay, what are we going to do with the ladies of the group?
Hmm.
And it was like crickets,
Good question.
crickets, crickets.
Yeah.
Spa, okay, but I mean, I love a spa, but I can't. I don't think I want to do the spa for 3 days.
No.
So I knew that there was something missing there, and it kind of stuck in the back of my mind. Then you and I met. We were working together for about a year, but
Hmm.
I could never get out of my mind what was happening. So a friend from the hotel called, and she said, we I know you play mahjong, and we have some corporate groups that want to learn how to play mahjong. Do you know a teacher? And I thought, no, a teacher? Could I be a teacher? I could teach people how to play mahjong. I could figure this out. So I wound up getting certified, all these things. But what happened is I realized that I had an opportunity to fill a need that this resort and other resorts in the area were lacking, which was
Hmm.
something spouse kind of influenced. And yes, I hope in 10 years that there's a lot more male spouses, but right now, most of the
Yeah.
spouses, about 90%, tend to be female. So I started creating programming for these spouses, whether it was teaching mahjong, paint and sip, a tour of our town in Bluffton, a boat ride, a trucker hat bar, an LL Bean boat and toad, a historian
Yeah.
coming in. And my company now works with that resort, as well as a few others in the area and beyond. And we kind of fill that need for spouse programming within these 5-star resorts. And Mahjong, again, right place, right time,
Yeah.
exploded as soon as I started. So Pink Palmetto Mahjong, which is part of my company, Pink Palmetto Events, is very, very busy here in the low country of South Carolina, teaching and spreading the joy of
I love that.
Mahjong.
I love that. But you also, I mean, you enjoy it too. So that's what makes it so much more enjoyable. Like
Yes.
you can't, everybody has a passion. I mean, it was like a year ago and you're like, yeah, I'm teaching, I'm doing this, but I'm not really sure. And then you just dove right into it. And I love that. Uh,
It took the one relationship. That's
yeah,
the thing. It's like
it's
it takes
relationship,
one
it's
risk.
networks.
For me, it was leaving New York and going to this tiny town in North Carolina, population, under 1,000. But
Yeah,
then that catapulted my hospitality career within resorts, you know, ripping the Band-Aid off and saying, I'm going to give this a go and see how far I could get. It took one really great client that then opened the door for many more. And it's branding, it's believing in yourself, the social media side of things and all the IT. I'm learning. I think
Crazy.
it's about having the right people around you. You'd be
Uh-huh.
surprised how many students want to help out on that kind of stuff. And I learn every day from the students that I have helping me with programming. They're like,
Really.
"Oh, Jennifer, let me do that TikTok video for you." I'm like, "Yes, please. Yes,
Yeah,
please.
please do it because I have no
Please do
clue
it.
how to.
Just tell me where you want me, and I'll
Right.
dance. I'll do it. I'll dance and sing. Just tell me
Yeah.
what you need me to do."
That's a good
Because
idea. I should reach out to people that
oh
are local,
yeah,
that are like students in like in not in the hospitality world, but in like the programming
social
side of
media.
things.
They
Yeah.
they all
It's a
are. I
career.
didn't even have a website. Everything was getting booked through Instagram. That's how strong
Yeah.
social media is. Like
Yeah.
it's such a rewiring of your brain. And then what's great about this game of Mahjong, number one, I love it because it's how I met all my friends in my community.
Hmm.
But I'm teaching 20-year-olds to mid 80-year-olds how to play. So imagine trying to come up with a marketing plan that's hitting both a 22-year-old and an
Right.
88-year-old. Oh goodness.
It's difficult.
It's difficult. It's difficult. And I'm learning. I'm learning.
So Pink Palmetto Events.
Yes.
This is the name, right? This is
That
the
is
business
me.
model. This is
That is
you.
me.
This is
Yeah.
Jennifer.
Hmm.
Where do we see this going? So Pink Palmetto Events right now does, let's say, what are your top three? What's your A, your B, and your C in this business model that you do daily? What are your top three things? What does the life look like in this event space now?
Admin, which is building ticket sites, creating the marketing plan behind the ticket site, and then broadcasting the ticket site. So whether that's through social media, website, etc., all the events have to be pushed through in all those different channels. So it's creating the piece, marketing the piece, and then building the piece. So I too have had to learn how to build ticket sale
Yeah,
sites, which if you would have asked me that 10 months ago, I'd be like, oh, no way.
no
But
way.
but you
Yeah,
learn. And it's trial and
right.
error. Like I went through so many different companies, but like for me, it's like, okay, so it's a half a percentage fee, but they do all the work. Done.
Worth
No
it.
brainer. Easy.
Yep.
Fine. Canva is my best friend. I've learned how to use Canva inside and out. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. Thank goodness. So that's a big part of it. The second part of it is meeting with venues and trying to come up with new events. So last week, for example, there's a historic mansion here in town that they're opening up as a venue space, and it has about 10 rooms. And I walked in and I was like, retreat. Let's do a women's retreat here. So now I'm
Yeah.
trying to create content for a women's retreat. That's the second part. And then the third part is ops. Like I'm still, I have a few assistant teachers, but I'm still out there in the community and meeting with
Yeah.
the resorts and trying to get things off the ground and different ideas. This is a busy weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend. So we'll be out at a few different resorts doing all different kinds of activities. Our new thing now are these LL Bean boat and totes, which is like right to my preppy heart.
What is that? You said it
The
earlier, and now
I
I'm
know
like, I
they're
know what
these
LL
little.
Bean is, but
So LLB makes these like really classic looking canvas boat totes, but now they're like 50, 40 or $50, but they're so classic and everybody's wearing them again. And we just like throw patches on them. I have an embroiderer come in and custom embroider them. We did a program
nice.
last week with a corporate group. So we had patches made with their logo on
Yeah.
it. So we do a lot of stuff like that. I always tell the folks at the resort, if you can think it, give me the opportunity to execute. And it's a great
Right.
partnership. So it's been really good.
Well, I think your background too speaks for itself in the fact that you've done this and you come from a world of hospitality, number one, right? You saw at an early age how, regardless of your training, if you're hospitable, you can jump behind the bar and be a bartender, right?
Hmm.
If you
Hmm.
don't know exactly how to do something and you have to move down to this town in North Carolina and just to take a chance and take a percentage of your salary out of the mix and just go live somewhere in the middle of nowhere just because you want to get a foot in the door, and that
Hmm.
ultimately led to the next and
Hmm.
then led to the next.
Hmm. Hmm.
If you have that hospitality mindset, you have that training built into you, you could really do anything. So you have this background of hospitality. So
Hmm.
if somebody says, "Hey, I want to make sure that my clients have the best experience, what can we do in this space that's inclusive of men and women and together?" You've already done it somewhere in your career. You've done it. You've
And asked for
executed
it.
it.
And probably asked
Yeah.
for it. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you've already done it in some way, shape, or form. And what the average well, I shouldn't say average person, but a person that doesn't work in hospitality or executing events, right? They would never even think or dream to be like, yeah, we can do that on a golf course, or we could do that in a pool area behind the resort, or we can do. You have that knowledge firsthand, and you've seen it. And you have the Rolodex of clients that you've helped and done it for over all these years. So, congratulations. I mean, it
Thank
sounds like
you.
your business is thriving, and you are the perfect person to do it. I have yet to learn how to play mahjong. Maybe someday.
I know you'd be surprised how many husbands come to a few of these
They want to
classes
learn.
because
Yeah.
it really you have to really think it's a strategic game. It's kind of like chess in many ways.
Yeah, and I love
Hmm.
chess, so I figured I could probably do mahjong and be successful at it. But someday we'll get a class here in Tampa Bay, or I'll come visit you.
You
But
got it.
where where do we see this going? So 5 years, 10 years. What I mean, this is a job that you can retire with. You can do it until forever because it's yes, there's a lot of heavy lifting, right? There's a lot of travel, there's a lot of money, there's a lot of brain power that goes into it. But you're not living that corporate lifestyle where you're
Hmm.
structured and sticking to a specific timeline of things. You're doing it on your own terms.
Yeah, yeah, which is scary and exciting at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you see it growing?
I definitely see it growing, and
See
it's
it
so
growing, right?
hard to sometimes vocalize like where you see yourself in 5 years. But I think that ultimately, I would love for this business to be either franchised or be in different cities. I mean, this model fits perfect markets like Palm Beach, where it's seasonal, or the Hamptons, where it's seasonal. I'm hearing a lot about an area in North Carolina called Highlands or Cashers. Like, I'm going to take a trip up
Hmm.
there. We're doing some programming down in Sea Island, Amelia Island. So I would love to see this kind of expand through the partnerships that I have with some of the resorts.
Yeah, and I could definitely see, I mean, Florida obviously is a given. We've got people that travel here from everywhere, starting January 1st until
Right,
the end of April or early May, snowbirds, quote unquote,
right.
right? But that's not to say that it's not marketable, you know it is, to a younger generation either.
Hmm. Yeah.
Everything trends, everything goes and ebbs and flows, and things are trending all the time, and this can certainly be one of those things.
You'd be
Um,
surprised how many bachelorette parties want to play
see,
mahjong. I'm like, wow, that's
there you
new and
go.
exciting. Okay,
Yeah.
it's fun.
Well, it's
It's fun.
exciting. I'm excited for you. I'm happy that this is taking off for you. Again, when we talked casually about a year ago, you were telling me about Mahjong and you were going to start teaching classes and doing all these things. And then I would like slowly see that you were doing it. And then ultimately now it's your bread and butter. It's your
Hmm.
business.
Yeah.
So
It was
congratulations.
weekends and evenings, and now it's full time. So it's great.
Yeah. And ultimately at the end of the day, it all comes down to networking. It all comes down to hospitality. It comes down to your connections and don't burn the bridges that you've had, right? And make those connections last.
Hmm. And calculated risk.
Yeah. Yeah. You could always fall back on something. And I think ultimately too, and you have this mindset. I certainly have this mindset of you can't be afraid to fail. If you fail, that doesn't mean that you're going out of business. It just means you pick up you gotta you know what I mean? You could pivot, you could pick up the pieces and sweep things away and then keep moving forward. You can't be afraid to fail. If you're afraid to fail, then you're never going to start and you would have still been doing the same thing you're doing now. And then you know what I mean? We would still be working together on the road and doing our thing. But well, listen, I'm excited for you. I the Pink Palmetto events, right?
That's it, Shane.
Where can
That's
people
it.
find you?
Either on our website or on Instagram. We have both Pink Palmetto events and Pink Palmetto Mahjong. And you can watch as I try to navigate social media and TikTok. So thank goodness I have a niece that's 24 years old and
There
keeps
you
me
go.
doing the right things.
And the website is pinkpalmettoevents.com.
That's it. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, Jennifer, good luck with everything. I'm so happy to have you on the podcast. Season 4. Keep moving the needle, keep moving forward, and we will talk soon.
Thank you, Shane.
Yes, thanks.